students, today we're going to talk about interest, simple interest, and this has to do with either money that you pay for taking out a loan or borrowing money, or money that the bank or institution pays you for making an investment. So when we're looking at simple interest, we're going to be talking about 4 different things, and all these 4 things affect the amount of interest that you will pay or earn. So again, simple interest is just the simple version. In real life, most interest is compound. It's a little more complicated, but this gives us an idea of how interest works. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the principal amount. That is the amount of money that you borrow. So let's say you're going to buy a car. You might borrow money from the bank to buy a car. Or this could be the amount of money you invest. So you might open up a bank account, a savings account, and put some money in. And then you're going to earn interest on that money in the bank. Or if you're taking out a loan, you're going to pay interest on the money that you're borrowing. So the amount of money that you borrow or invest is the first thing that we're going to look at. Then we're going to talk about the rate. The rate is the percent of interest. So the percent that you're going to pay or the percent that you're going to earn on your investment. So the percentage will affect how much interest you pay. And then the third factor, the third thing that will affect the amount of interest is time. How long are you borrowing the money for? Is it a 2-year loan? Is it a 5-year loan? The longer you borrow the money for, the more interest you're going to pay. Just like an investment, the longer you leave your money in your investment, the more interest you're going to accumulate, you're going to accrue. So we're going to go through some problems using the formula interest equals principal times rate times time. So here's our first problem. It says that Jessica is borrowing, so this is important, she's borrowing $15,000. That's the principal, the amount of money that she's borrowing. And she's borrowing that money for 3 years. So that's the time. How long is it going to take her to borrow, to pay back that money? And then it tells us that the rate is 9%. So that's our rate. So we're answering 2 questions. We want to know how much interest will she pay if she pays off her loan at the end of 3 years, and what is the total that she'll repay. So we're going to have 2 different answers to this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to solve for the interest. I equals PRT. Now our principal we said was $15,000. So we're going to plug 15,000 in place of P. Our rate, now the rate is a little tricky because we have to turn that into a percentage. So we're going to plug in 9%, but 9% in its decimal form, so 0.09. And then we want to look at the time. How long are we borrowing this money for? And we're borrowing it for 3 years. So we're plugging in a 3. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to multiply these 3 numbers together. So 15,000 times 0.09 times 3. And so we get that our interest, I, is equal to $4,050. So interest is additional money that you have to pay. So when you take out a loan to buy a car, you have to pay for the car. You have to pay the $15,000. And then when you're borrowing the money, you're paying extra. You're also paying interest. So to answer our second question, which is, okay, well, what's the total? How much is Jessica going to pay in total? She needs to pay back the $15,000 that she borrowed, plus the bank is charging her an additional $4,050. So the total amount that she's paying for this car is $19,050. Now you're paying it back over time, but in the end, that's how much the car will have cost Jessica. All right, let's try another one. So this one says Nancy invested. So this time we're earning interest. So interest isn't always extra money that you're paying. This is still the principal. But this time we're earning interest because we're doing an investment. And so she is investing in a bond at a rate of 3%. So that's our R. And it tells us she earned, this is our I. They gave us the I. So they want to know, okay, well, how long did we do this investment? So we're going to write our formula down. I, interest, equals principal times rate times time. So we're going to plug in what we know. We know the I. We know we earned $450. We know that we invested $6,000. We know that our rate was 3%. So again, we need to write that as a decimal. Now we're going to solve our equation for T. How long did it take us to earn that money? So the first thing that we want to do is we want to multiply 6,000 times 0.03. Okay, that gives us 180. T equals 450. So then we're solving for T, so we're dividing both sides of our equation by 180. And when we do that, we get, that it took us 2.5, and time is always in years. So after 2.5 years, we earned an extra $450 just for investing our money. We didn't have to do anything else. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and practice some interest problems using the formula I equals PRT.